going to open it up for questions, and you can address them to specific presidents or just put a general question out there. Well, you could see some variation, and of course the Board of Trustees will have the final approval on differential tuition, and of course setting tuition across SUNY. But the rational tuition piece, or the piece that is tied to the higher education price index, will be very planful for our families. They will be able to look across 4 or 5 years when their students will be at SUNY at a particular campus and understand what those costs will be by just looking at the higher education index, what it has been in the past, using the multiple, and being able to figure out a full cost spectrum over the 4 or 5 years that the student will be on campus. And I say 5 years because many programs are 5 years as well. But as far as differential tuition is concerned, you might take a look at the markets. There will be market forces that will play into that. There will be costs of programs. The costs of programs vary just terrifically across different kinds of programs, whether they're doctoral granting programs, certainly medical programs, and I think I'll ask my colleagues to speak to that.
Well, I think, Jim, to your point, number one is, of course, the coordinating role of SUNY itself and the SUNY board and the chancellor. I think everyone's real cognizant of the, number one, the cost issues we now face. In the current strategy, there really isn't one. We have these huge episodic boluses of the tuition that come down on families, usually during the time of fiscal crisis in the state of New York. That's been our history, and it occurs, sort of about every 10, 11, 12 years, and it's this massive double-digit increase. Not predictable. Certainly, there's no budget certainty related to families or the children that take out loans. And there's no reinvestment of those dollars back into tuition. One of the strategies nationwide has been, when this has been enabled, is that a portion of this money goes back by the institutions in building scholarship funds. When the monies are swept, as they have been historically in New York, there is no opportunity to be able to restore 17–20% of those dollars to be able to apply for students primarily in the middle class squeeze zone. Students below 41,000 annual family income are covered anyway through a variety of mechanisms, including federal. But in that 41 to usually about 85, 90,000 a year, depending on the size of the family, we have no ability to restore or provide funding for assistance in scholarships to those students currently, because in the past, every increase has seen a concomitant reduction or withdrawal of those funds on the state side. So not rational under any circumstance, and I think my colleague Dr. Cross mentioned that earlier, the problem that we face. So this will be much better than what we have currently, and it is a standard of practice, not only in the private sector of New York, but also across the rest of the country.